This is Community Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Our city boasts one of the most vibrant theater scenes in the country, and our guest, Richard Engling, is here to talk about his company, the Polarity Ensemble Theatre, contributes to this creativity. He is also here to tell us about their latest production, Anna in the Afterlife. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, let's start off by talking about you and how you're one of the founders of this company, correct?
Yes, back in 2004.
Okay.
Ann Keene and Irv Gorman and I started the company.
Okay.
The first year was mostly fundraising, and then in 2005 we mounted our first production and have been doing seasons since then.
Okay, what inspired you to take on this huge task of a theater company? I'm sure it's a lot of passion, I'm sure, but a lot of work and sacrifice.
Yeah, you know, we had been, Ann and I had been in a company before that, and we were set to do 2 productions, and that company folded. You know, this is life in Chicago theater. Companies come and go. So that company folded before we did those productions.
Wow.
I was going to direct a production of Macbeth, and she was going to direct one of Antigone, which in fact I was writing a new adaptation for that. So when that folded, we decided, let's start a company. Let's start it with these 2 productions. We had some ideas about the kind of company we wanted, and we just took off with those and then carried on with our mission.
Tell me about the kind of company you wanted, because from what you have on your website and what I was reading is you honor the classics, but yet encourage new creations.
Yeah, we like to say that we bring new life to the classics and bring new works to life.
Okay. Tell me about that, because you said that we were talking before the show, you put new spin on the classics. You try to give it a different taste.
Yeah, in all the things we do, we try to do something innovative. When we're working with classics, we really are trying to feature the director's conception of it, and very often it might be a new adaptation of a classic. So that's the innovation there, and we do a lot of work with developing new plays, and we work exclusively with Chicago area playwrights. So exclusively, yeah. We do a festival every year, the Dionysus Cup Festival of New Plays, and we put out a call for scripts, only Chicago area people, because we want playwrights who can be in the room with the actors and the directors.
Okay.
The festival, you know, a lot of staged readings are 1 weekend events. The thing we're doing is 6 months long. You know,
Wow.
we select the plays, we match them up with a director and a dramaturg. And early in the process, the director and dramaturg sit down with the playwright. They do a critique session, each of them individually. And that begins this period in which we try to give as many points of inspiration to the playwright as possible, so that by the end of it, you know, their play has really improved a great deal. The playwright has time to rewrite, and then we'll do a table reading with actors, and then there's more time for rewriting. And then the festival will come, and each play gets a workshop production on the 2 weekends of it. So each one is seen twice. You know, the audience responds. They're getting feedback from the actors, and then there's a couple-month period after the festival where they can continue to rewrite.
Wow.
And then they turn the scripts back to us, and we go on to give some of them a full production. I think it's like, you know, 11 or 12 plays now that have either been produced by us or someone else that have come through the Dionysus Cup.
Well, and by Chicago area, you mean Chicago proper, the suburbs, Northwest Indiana, or do you extend as far as like Wisconsin,
if somebody,
Michigan?
we did have somebody coming from southern Wisconsin who convinced us, you know, she was willing to drive in, she was going to do it. She, you know, but we like to keep it. We'd like to keep it reasonably close because we want them to have. The whole point is to have this connection in the room. I mean, that's one of the one of the things that ensemble means to us is every time we do a show, we're creating ensemble, and also, you know, we're seeing the larger city, and we want to bring the playwright into that. You know, having the playwright connected to that, having the playwright be inspired by directors, by actors, you know, by other theater artists. It's really important.
Besides that inspiration, why else is it important to have the playwright here? I mean, it's such a huge part of what you hope to nurture here. I mean, what was that born from? What was this desire born from?
Well, you know, there are a lot of companies in the city of Chicago. Each of them are there for different purposes. You know, they have different viewpoints. For us, we wanted to really be doing something that was very much Chicago. You know, that was, especially when it comes to the new work, that was coming out of local people. That was, I mean, there's such a wealth of theater artists in this town. It's unbelievable. You know, there are 200 to 300 theater companies in this town now.
Wow.
You know, they come and they go.
Right.
But the wealth of work that's going on is fabulous. So we saw this one niche, you know, that we wanted to be in, something very much Chicago-based, something that, you know, just comes right out of the soul of the city.
Okay, and what type of themes do you see popping up about our city or life in our city or around it? What have you seen from these works?
Well, you know, we've done comedies, we've done things that are serious, we've done things, you know, on infertility. One of the plays was we don't actually look for any particular theme. We're just looking for it to come out of the artists of this town.
Okay.
And if something is exciting to us and we want to do it, and then that's what we end up doing. But we're not looking for any particular subject matter.
Okay, so the city doesn't necessarily have to be a character.
It doesn't.
Okay.
No. In fact, you know, the last original play we did, Miracles in the Fall, by Chuck O'Connor, we just did in the fall. That's set in Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and well, that's the one way you nurture creativity. But you also said you give new life to the classics, and you're talking about before the show when you worked on by Shakespeare, Macbeth. Tell me about that experience and how you've done that. Have you done it with Polarity?
Yeah, that our very first show was we called it Absolute Macbeth.
Okay, but you did change the name
a little bit, yeah, and then recently.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no, I know there are a lot of theater artists who are very superstitious about saying the title Macbeth, and I'm not one of them.
But that's interesting because even though you say you're not superstitious about the title, you still renamed it in some sense.
I did. But then when we did a new, well, it wasn't a remount really. It was a new production based on the same, based on much of what we had discovered the first time around. And that time we just called it Macbeth. We didn't use the other title, but we were using the same adapted script.
Okay.
And in that one, the really fun thing with that was the witches were like ritual priestesses in this production.
Okay.
So they came on, and they did. Macbeth was carried in by a bunch of the men who were wearing masks, and he was set down on the floor, standing up, like he was raw material. And they were invoking the goddesses and dedicating him as a ritual scapegoat to purge the evil from the kingdom. So that at the end, when he is finally killed, it's like a purgation of all of the evil in the kingdom. And then they do an answering ritual at the end. And there, you know, they would carry masks and play minor characters, so it seemed like they were always around manipulating things.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was really fun. That was really fun.
You said the word purgation. You do a type of purgation when you're producing Macbeth, right? or do some type of the suspicion. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, when I said I'm not suspicious about, or I'm not superstitious about the title,
so,
that's true.
Yeah, sorry, superstitious. I'm confusing words here.
Yeah, but the you know, there is particularly a speech of Lady Macbeth's where she calls demons down upon her to unsex me here and fill me full of dire cruelty, etc. You know, and that I think is a really powerful incantation, and that is the part of the play that makes me nervous and think if anything is going to bring bad luck down on a production, it's going to be Lady Macbeth doing that. So we would do a little ceremony of protection as we started into a production.
What did that involve? A shaman?
We would do. No, we didn't bring in a shaman. But we did do a little sage smudging. We lit some candles. We said some prayers. Yeah, we did a little bit of stuff in that way, just to, you know, just to keep things safe if we could.
Carry a rabbit's foot with you?
No rabbit's foot. No rabbit's foot.
So Macbeth is one of the plays you've done. What other classics have you produced through Polarity Ensemble Theatre?
Yeah, we did. Our second show was Antigone that Anne Keane directed, and I wrote a new adaptation of that. We did a rock and roll Hamlet.
Oh wow!
That was an adaptation of Anne's, and we had some original music.
Any Chekhov?
No Chekhov. No. Yeah, we've done some restoration comedies. You know, we did a Tom Jones not too long ago, and that was also. I think it was only the second time that adaptation had been performed, and it was the first time it was done in Chicago.
Wow. Oh, so let's talk about your. Well, yeah. Before you take me into the new production, you kind of took me through the process just a bit, talking about how you invite writers to come in and you know, playwrights. To come in and share their work from Chicago and around. So how is the seed that starts this idea watered and nurtured and to full fruition? How does that happen for a new play?
For a new play, gosh, you know, the seed starts with the playwright, and so that can happen in many ways. I mean, I could talk about our.
Yeah, no, that's what I want. Yeah,
okay.
Take us through that.
Yeah. So the production we've got coming up, Anna and the Afterlife, is a play of mine, and it actually has been a really long process that has brought this play about. When I went to graduate school with a woman named Fern Chertko, and we became very close friends. I had studied theater as an undergraduate, she had studied music as an undergraduate, and then we were in this fiction writing master's program at Indiana University in Bloomington. So
beautiful campus.
It is a beautiful, yeah, I loved going to school there. So we became very close friends there as we were developing this new identity as novelists. And after our 2 years at Bloomington, we went to Europe. We were over in Europe for nearly a year, and had this wonderful 5-month-long time where we were both living in Paris.
Wow!
And it was really a magical time. I mean, we both became very prolific during that period. We were both writing novels, and we were writing really fast. And there were 2 bookstores in town where English language open mics went on every week.
Shakespeare and Company?
Shakespeare and Company was one bookstore, and then Pensée Sauvage was another one. which means wild thoughts in French.
Wow.
So we would we would go to both of those readings every week, and each of us would read at one or the other of them pretty much every week because we were writing so quickly. So
sounds like an amazing time.
It was really fun. It was really fun. So Fern and I were really close, and then she was really somebody who was very intelligent, very driven, but also troubled. And in 1988, she was living out in Salt Lake, and she'd been trying to get to the bottom of her own troubles and was doing regressive hypnosis, and it was bringing up horrible either memories or imaginings, and she ended up taking her own life. So that was, I mean, that was a huge loss. That was somebody who was very close to me, and when she was gone, especially since we had come up together as novelists, eventually I thought, I want to do a novel. I want to do a novel based on her, and it wasn't to be like a memoir. We were both fiction people, so I wanted to write it as a novel. So parts, you use things from your histories, and then you invent things, and so I ended up writing this novel, Visions of Anna.
Why don't you read part of it,
okay,
for us, please, and then we'll continue talking about how that became play. That's what your play is based on, right?
Actually, the play, the play and the novel are kind of like parallel universes. They come from the same material, but they're actually different stories.
Okay.
There's a character, Anna, who is inspired by Fern, and there's a character, Matthew, who's kind of based on me. And in the two works, they're actually, they actually have different professions. Matthew has a wife named Patty in both of them, but they're entirely different women.
Okay.
And neither one of them is based on my wife. In both cases, it's she's a fictional creation. So, and in Anna in the Afterlife, the whole action takes place in the afterlife.
Okay.
Matthew is in a coma in the play.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and this one has some otherworldly sorts of things, and in fact, the little section I'm going to read to you takes place. There is a shaman in this book.
Oh, interesting.
You brought up shaman, but there is a shaman in this book, and there's a long section where they're doing a ceremony, and they're attempting to. Matthew is sick. They're attempting to heal him, and they're also working at putting Anna's soul to rest, because her soul is troubled because of the suicide. So the section I'm going to read is this one part where Matthew has, in the course of this ritual they're doing, he's gone deep into trance, so deep into trance that he's lost where he is physically and has gone for a travel into the other world.
Wow.
So that's the little thing.
Okay.
I should probably put on my glasses.
Sure. That's whatever you need to do.
Yes. See, I've got these magical glasses that fold out. All right. Okay. So he's in, he's deep in this trance now. He was in the tunnel now. The tunnel first formed in his forehead by the spot of copal. Then it was the portal in the center of the fire. They've been around a fire, a whole ritual fire thing. He was propelled through the narrow space of the tunnel like in a dream of flight, flying like Superman. He saw the long cords of energy once again, the bungee cords of the spirit stretching beneath him far down the length of the tunnel. But he did not touch them this time. Then he was in another space, a larger space, with Natalie flying beside him, side by side, then face to face. He saw her eyes again and understood them more profoundly than he ever had before. He moved in closer, they each to the other, entering deeply in through the eyes, finding the entry there, the understanding, the memory, like an irrepressible magnetic attraction, like a longing to be touched. And then they were together, flowing together like twin tributaries moving forward, now conjoined toward the big river. And as their waters touched, they remembered. My God, how had they ever forgotten this? How had they ever lost this? All of their lives alone, apart, separated too from all that had come before, the life that they had led. Lives that they had led. No, life was right, singular, not plural, for they had been one creature, one consciousness, one whole before. And these pitiful things, this Matthew, this Natalie, they were mere slivers of consciousness, struck off alone for a lifetime. But why? Why did they do this phenomenally lonely thing without one another and without the rest? For they sensed now, occupying this single reunited consciousness, that there were more of them than these two pitiful shards, this Matthew and this Natalie. They were not two halves of a whole, but two fragments of some larger being that even together, with their two consciousnesses conjoined, they could not remember, could not fathom, but could only sense in profound and devastated longing, like some forgotten dream of ecstasy, lurking hauntingly just beyond the limits of recall.
Wow.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, definitely. This whole work and walking into the afterlife is a huge part of this play, and certainly if they're separate stories and different stories, it seems like they're inspired by, at least from what I'm hearing, I don't know if I'm correct in my own analysis, but trying to maybe resolve some of the heartbreak, or?
Yeah, you know, when you think of someone who's taken their lives, you get very curious, or at least I do. You know, I was raised Catholic. I have that whole background of being an altar boy, and you know, it's just steeped in the mysticism of Catholicism as a child. My mind just goes to, okay, what happens to that soul after that moment? And you know, I've done some study of mysticism, you know, as an adult, and have spent time with shamans. In fact, there's a wonderful conference, annual conference that the poet Robert Bly put together years ago, Minnesota Men's Conference, and I've gone to that 17 times, something like that. I started going every year, and Robert began bringing in some, you know, some indigenous shaman teachers to that, and who would do ceremonies with us. So there's some background there that I've brought into this, and that has fed my thinking about what is the afterlife. You know?
And we'll certainly see some of that in the play. And
oh yes, yeah, because the whole thing takes place in the afterlife. Matthew, in that case, you know, he had an operation, something went wrong, he's in a coma, and at first he
Matthew, the character in the
Matthew, the character in the play. You know, the parallel character is in the book too, and he's at first he has no idea where he is, and he's been rendered amnesiac. Anyway,
he has amnesia.
He has amnesia. Yeah, at the beginning, and you know, his friend Anna is there, and he doesn't recognize her at first, and she's helping him regain some of his own memories. And as that goes on, you know, he sees that there's also Anna that he recognizes, and realizes she's been split in two somehow, you know.
Interesting.
So there's this fragmenting of her soul in the afterlife. And he meets other people who were mentors to him. A dear friend of his, you know, he goes through a number of experiences, some of it taking place in sort of the moment of now as it goes on, and then many times going back into memories and finding bits of his life with his wife, his daughter, his friends, etc.
Wow. It really sounds like a ceremony itself, like for entering into the afterlife. And we're out of time.
Okay.
But thank you so much for coming to share this story, the background on it, and good luck. And I look forward to seeing it myself.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, we'd you know, the play is part of a trilogy. Each of them stand alone, but they enrich each other when you read them. You know, there's Fern's book too.
Okay, we'll definitely we'll have the talk after the show. But thanks so much, and yeah, good luck with everything again.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. And to you, our audience, thank you for joining us. Community Forum is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.